and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. I am Illeagle 86. I am joined, as always, by my good friends, Nerdbomber and Techtic. Techtic, what's the reason for the season?
The reason for the season is friends. Honestly, if not for just the good times, the bad times. Friends are always here for you. They're here to listen to you, let you vent, make you feel better. So shout out to friends.
Here's to you, friends. Nerdbomber, would you agree with that? I mean, I don't even know what the season really is, but would you agree that that's the reason for the season? Feels like the reason for any season.
Well, it's the season. It's kind of Valentine's Day season and Palentine's Day. I was going to say Galentine's Day, but you guys aren't gals, so I'm going to call it Palentine's Day. It's like the week after Valentine's Day. Showing love for your pals.
Happy Palentine's Day, everybody. I don't remember. My memory's terrible, first of all. But second of all, did we talk about Valentine's Day last episode, or was it the Valentine's episode, or did we just kind of punt? I think we might have just punted on it.
We just wanted to sound sultry for a little bit.
That's right, we did do that. I guess this is the official Valentine's Day episode, but we're calling it the Palentine's Day episode because we're pals here. It's very exciting this week. We're doing something that I think maybe has never before been done on the Online Warriors. Are you all sitting down? This is a huge deal. There's going to be no ad break in this episode. This is 1 hour or so.
Unadulterated.
Pure unadulterated. There's going to be no adulterating.
There will be no time for pee-pee breaks.
No pee-pee breaks. Our bladders are all empty. We planned ahead. So settle in, find a comfy chair, lay down, do whatever feels right. We're going to be here with you for an hour talking about all things nerd is I guess what I'll say. I mean, we got a variety of topics today, actually. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Black Adam and the DCEU in general, about the Justice Society. Techtic, you're going to tell us what the Justice Society is. That's basically what that's going to be. But look, the DC education segments that we have are very important to me, because if I'm going to see these movies, I need to know what's going on beforehand. We're going to be talking about Nintendo Direct, because that happened last week, and there were a lot of big reveals, one of which in particular I am super, super excited about. So we'll get to that. And then we're going to talk about another one of my favorite things, a relic circa, 2017 or something, MoviePass. You guys all remember MoviePass. It was the best summer of our lives, basically. Well,
it's back, baby.
Back. Let's start with that, because I think MoviePass 2.0, I'm going to throw this out there. I know it was a total financial disaster for the people who were in charge of it last time. I think this is a very promising thing. I think MoviePass can work. I think the original manifestation of it, they had the right idea, right? They just didn't have the specifics in place. I think they probably underestimated demand, right? I think that's probably the main thing that happens. I mean, yeah. to perform an autopsy on MoviePass, it's not hard to do, because you just look at someone like me who was going to multiple movies a week. And I mean, what was it, $10 a month or something? It was insane. I don't even understand how it was ever a good idea at the price point it was at.
Yeah, especially when it premiered too, $10 a month, that was cheaper than a single movie ticket. You went to see a movie and you made it worth your while. It made no sense.
It made no sense at all. And it was funny because MoviePass died, and the way it died was it wasn't a good way for them to die. They died essentially by making their app terrible and buggy, blacking out certain theaters and theater chains, and just kind of slowly killing it instead of shooting it in the head, which I think is what they should have done, because it made them look bad. But then, after MoviePass died, a bunch of theater chains thought, okay, what I just said, they had the right idea, they just didn't do it right. So Regal rolled out, I don't even remember what theirs was called, but I got AMC Stubbs A-List. I had it for a while. And that, I believe, was $25 a month. So if you went to 2 movies, it basically zeroed out. And for me, that was easy, And I had that for quite a few months, and then I cut it out, and I can't remember why I did, but that made sense. And I think Stubbs A-List is still a thing. I think they're still doing it, and I think Regal's still doing theirs. So again, if you get the details right, the idea is there. So MoviePass 2.0 presumably is going to try and fix some of that. Now, they had a press conference last week, apparently, based on this article I have from TechCrunch. The press conference started with audio issues. So, it's already going great out of the gate. They got through that, and they talked through kind of what the vision for MoviePass 2.0 is. And what I want to kind of hone in on here is, the whole idea of MoviePass originally was it's to gather marketing data on people. Companies will pay for the marketing data they get from people going to see certain movies, and that data is all logged and tracked, and it can be sold to people. They're taking it, I think they're still doing that, but they're taking it in a bit of a different direction in that you also are apparently going to have to watch what is called the pre-show app, where once you choose a movie, you are given a package of video ads that essentially you have to watch. And apparently they are building technology in this app where if you look away from your screen or move too far away from your phone, the ads stop playing.
This is a little creepy. I'm not going to lie.
It's dystopian. Well, yeah, like let's call it what it is. It's like now with that said, fine, I'll do that. But like if they gave us anything close to the experience that I had the first time, watching ads for whatever it is, 10 minutes, and half of them might even be movie trailers, which I like watching anyways. So like I'm okay with that. But they're rolling out a credit system, I guess, where, because the other thing that was a problem with the original MoviePass was seeing a movie on a Tuesday afternoon versus seeing a movie on a Friday night. The cost was always the same. And, seeing new releases versus older titles, for example. Now there's going to be a variance depending on what movie you see when you're seeing it. And it's going to be in the form of, I guess, credits that can be rolled over. You can trade credits with people. You can spend more credits to bring a friend who doesn't have MoviePass. So they're turning it into much more of a full-fledged economy as opposed to a flat pay $10 a month and you can do whatever you want and financially destroy us, basically. So that part, I don't know how I feel about. The simplicity of it is being drained away.
I mean, it makes,
which I think is one of its selling points, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And I think one of the things too is that with the credit system, I think they said that you could watch additional ads to earn more credits. And I think people would do that. I mean, I'm thinking back to
I would.
Like in the 2000s, 2010s, I remember there was like apps like Inbox Dollars and all of these crazy apps where you basically watched videos and took surveys and you would spend like an hour and you would get 50 cents and you'd be celebrating because it was like, oh, I just got to do nothing and got 50 cents. Now, if you're watching ads and you get to see a movie for free, I mean, at least it's a little bit more of a concise payoff. And I feel like people would definitely be into doing that. And I think the credit system even makes sense from the standpoint of, like you said, seeing a new release movie. If you have this all in one pass, seeing a new release movie should cost a little bit more than if you saw something that's been out for like 3 weeks and nobody's going to the theater anymore to see it. So, because I mean, in that standpoint too, like maybe the reason why the credit is lower is because the production studio or advertisers or even the theaters themselves are subsidizing the app just to get butts in the seats so that they're watching these movies that nobody's going to see anymore. That said though, like I think this would work in areas where maybe you don't have an AMC or a Regal, where you're working with movie theaters who are a little bit smaller and don't have their own all-inclusive pass. But I don't know, like if it comes between $10 with all these restrictions a month, if you're like an avid moviegoer and you're going all the time, or you can just get the AMC or Regal subscription, which is like double the price, but you have unlimited options, no restrictions whatsoever. There's a decent chance you'll probably just go with the Regal or AMC and not want to futz around with watching crazy ads.
It's like anything, right? It depends on the budget of the individual user. But yeah, I think I can see the merit behind both ways. And like going back to this pre-show ad thing, like I'm the kind of person, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but like advertising does not work on me. That's not me bragging, but like I am of the mind in general that like companies spend so much money on advertising, and I think it is patently ridiculous. Like, okay, take today for example. We're recording this on Super Bowl Sunday. We're gonna record this, and then we're gonna go watch a football game surrounded by commercials that literally cost millions of dollars to make and put on television. And companies are paying millions of dollars. And companies like Pepsi are making these insanely grandiose commercials and putting them on television. And take the three of us. I think we're probably right in the middle of the cross section of like the American consumer base that Pepsi is probably targeting, right? Do you care when you see those commercials?
You either
more
like
likely
Pepsi
to buy
or you
Pepsi?
don't. You're not just going to be like, holy cow, I want some Pepsi.
I know this is like an offshoot conversation, but like when I say I'll watch ads, I don't care. What I mean is I think ads are ridiculous. If companies want to waste money on them and have me watch them, great. It's not going to change my opinion. at all.
I think a key thing that they're going to have to do with this app is honestly enable cookies, right? So that they can tailor their advertisement stream to your interest. And that would be something that they can do, like, hey, you get bonus points if you use this ad and buy this thing, which that would be both favorable for the consumer as well as the advertiser because it's now catered to their interest.
Right. I suppose I should hone the statements I've made here. I am as guilty as anyone of like seeing a commercial for Taco Bell late at night and thinking I have to go get Taco Bell now.
Good.
Like that's just it's not a sponsor, but that's part of the human experience, right? But then there are just so many commercials that I'm like, I can't believe we're wasting money on this. It is just insane to me that like we're still doing it this way. There's advertising,
right, and that's why that's why it doesn't work on television anymore, and that's why I say the enable cookies phenomenon is really the future of advertising. And I'm surprised they haven't figured out a way to cater the television experience to the users watching.
Well, I mean, it kind of does, and not so much like cable television or like network television, but I don't know about you guys, but sometimes like if you watch Hulu, if you have like ad Hulu,
they allow you to choose ads sometimes.
Yeah,
is that what
like,
you're talking about?
It's targeted and tailored, and we shortly thereafter, I mean, it's not good at all because then they show you like the same ad 6 or 7 times throughout the same show to the point where like you're like, I will blow my brains out before I watch this ad for Snickers again. But then like it got me to upgrade to, you know, the ad-free version of it. So in a way, it was kind of successful too. So I don't know.
But that's another thing. To take this a step further, I'm going to continue my diatribe against advertisement really quick. Like, if there's one thing that TV commercials do reliably, it is not make me want to buy products or support companies. It is to make me not want to buy things. Or like when you see a commercial 6 times in a row, you think, I hate that commercial, therefore I hate Snickers.
I have one more offshoot. Can we also talk about the fact that what you're watching will be, hey, on today's episode of Walking in the Streets. And now for a commercial break.
Yeah, no, right. That's a known thing that's been going on for many years. But like, it just, I don't, at OW Illeagle 86, at OW Nerdbomber, at OW Techtic, our main show account, at Online Warriors 1, someone who works in advertising, just reach out to us, walk us through this, you know, and like, look, we put ads in our shows. We're not going to do that today, but like podcast, like I think there is a subset of advertising, like podcast advertisements where personal testimonials are leveled, or like even Instagram ads, which again are tailored based on cookies and things that you actually are interested in. Like those work.
Well, we're also
TV
not billion-dollar companies, right? We're just trying to keep our podcast afloat.
It's true. But like, I just, like, TV commercials, and you're right, Techtic, like probably this pre-show app and MoviePass, I doubt their plan is like, we'll just throw some random commercials at them. They're going to tailor the commercials to things that may actually entice us. And that's a very, very small piece of the pie chart. But TV commercials, we need to do something about that. It just doesn't make any sense anymore.
You know what? You know what would be really clever? If a company bought advertisement space and it was like on the order of like microseconds. Like I'm not even talking a full second. And it was just like here's our link. We're using this money to charity. Check it out, but thanks. And like you had to like catch it at the right time to see it. I think that'd be awesome. Companies do that.
It would be unique at least. I just like I don't understand advertising. It drives me bananas. Like I would go to the supermarket and I would see new Pepsi and I'd be like, maybe I'll try that. Nothing in a commercial that like you couldn't just put on the packaging would convince me to try new Pepsi. Don't get me wrong, there's probably something to be lost from like not seeing a bunch of funny commercials during the Super Bowl, right? They have become a form of entertainment. But at the same time, 99% of the time probably commercials are just annoying and no one wants them. So it's just, I don't know, it seems very strange to me, but we've offshot a little bit. To drag us back in, MoviePass 2.0, I mean, if the price point is still $10 a month, this is a no-brainer yes from me. Like, I just can't even imagine it wouldn't be hugely popular in the same way that it was, even if they added a credit system and mandatory, you know, video ads. I wouldn't care. I would still do it, and I would still love doing it. You know, where are you guys at on this? Is this something that, you know, would you be a MoviePasser? Would you be an AMC Stubs? I mean, you guys have never done any of those. Well, you did MoviePass, right?
Yeah, we did MoviePass. MoviePass was a glorious summer. I don't know though. So like, I will admit, MoviePass was great, but I also felt a lot of pressure. I'm one of those people where, I mean, I guess my mentality has changed a little bit.
You want to get your money's worth, right?
Yeah, and maybe that would change now too. Like MoviePass always seemed at the time like it was way too good to be true. So I was like, oh, we have to get the most of this before they shut this whole thing down. Like this is not going to last long. We gotta get in there. And so it was
a race against time.
Yeah, we were going to multiple movies every week to the point where I think the 1 month we went like to see 8 movies, and then it was just like a little bit draining. So I think it would be something I would like intermittently subscribe to.
Well, they don't let you do that though. I think even the old MoviePass, I think even the old MoviePass was like, once you unsubscribe, you can't come back for 3 months. Actually, that might have been, I think A-List did that specifically to avoid people just saying, I'll sign up for the 1 month that all these good movies are coming out and then I'll kill it. Like, it's an obvious thing to think about doing, but AMC at least safeguarded it. Maybe you're right, maybe MoviePass never did, but they probably would with 2.0. I'm sure 2.0, they got a bunch of people being like, okay, how can we make this so it's not the Titanic that the first one was, that just like went down in flaming glory. You know, I remember Mission Impossible Fallout, I think, was the last movie I tried to see with it, and I couldn't even see it because they just like blacked it out because it was hugely popular. I think they'll do better this time. I have faith in this, and I want to see this become a thing again. I think the world was a better place when MoviePass was in it. So we'll see what happens. I don't know when this is being rolled out. I think it's probably in the early stages. Sounds like they're signing up theaters to partner with the service, and a number are currently on board, but they're still in the process of doing that. So as far as end users go, we're probably a while out from that. I would imagine maybe next summer is when they were looking to roll this out. They want to, and this is a quote from the article again, they want to facilitate 30% of all theatrical sales by 2030. That is an intense goal. I'd be surprised if they did that, but if they do, great. Because the other thing about this that we haven't mentioned, you know, the convenience of MoviePass was unbelievable. The convenience factor was crazy. You would just have you would just say, I want to go to this movie. They'd say, here's your ticket. It's on your phone. Scan it. If you are like me, and I'm going to publicly admit to a crime here, and you sneak candy into a movie theater because the prices are ridiculous, you can go to a movie without really talking to anybody. You can just have someone scan a QR code. You're in the theater, and that's it. It's amazing. We'll keep you all updated on MoviePass 2.0, but it's an exciting time for all movie lovers. So get hyped. Let's stick with movies here. Let's save Nintendo Direct for later in the show. I was about to say after the break, but there is no break today.
We should at least give him a little jam sesh.
We can give him a jam sesh. Let's talk about Black Adam. And specifically, let's talk about, we kind of got, I think this was yesterday, this came out. We got like a DCEU, just like, here's everything that's coming out in 2022, right? So we saw footage from Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We saw Black Adam, of course. We saw the Flash movie, the new Batman, which I'm super excited to see. And we kind of got introduced to a lot of new characters here. Because, of course, we saw the characters I just mentioned, but we also saw Atom Smasher, Dr. Fate, Hawkman. I don't know if did we see Cyclone, or was Cyclone mentioned? I don't remember. But I guess the commonality here, or the supposition, is that the Justice Society is being formed. Now, I am an average American. I know about the Justice League. When you get to the Justice Society, you lose me. So, Techtic, you have the floor. Explain to me how exciting this is, what this means. Prognosticate for us.
Okay, so we saw Hawkman, we saw Adam, and if you don't know who Hawkman is, he is not like Hawkeye. He actually is part hawk humanoid species thing. Then we have Adam, who is a physicist who's kind of similar to Hank Pym, where he can grow and shrink and has the power of basically physics behind him.
So by Adam, it's ATOM and not ADAM, like The Rock.
Yes.
Right, good clarification. I was confused.
We saw a number of different Quicksters, too. I just want to go without mentioning that. And we saw Dr. Fate. So, and if you don't know who Dr. Fate is, he's similar to the DC version of he's similar to the DC version of Doctor Strange. So,
okay.
Who is the JSA? Why do we care? And what does this potentially mean for the DC universe? Well, the JSA is basically an alternate version of the Justice League. Batman's in it, the characters that I had just mentioned, and a number of other key people that we've sort of seen. The Flash is in it at a time. So what makes this different than the Justice League? Well, we know that we're going to be seeing Flashpoint Paradox, and we know that generally drives alternate realities. And so what I think is going to happen is that's how we're going to be introduced to the JSA, is that the Flashpoint is going to create a new reality for them to basically go, hey, you guys remember that Justice League thing we did? Yeah, don't worry about that. This is what we're going to focus on now, and these are our cast members that you want to care about.
Do you think that these characters have a big enough following in the comic books? Because, I mean, obviously these are not your top tier DC characters. Do you think these characters have enough, interesting story? Because I'm not super familiar with the in-depth DC characters as much as I am Marvel. Do you think there's enough here to make people care?
Do you think Doctor Strange has a big enough following before those movies were created?
I was going to say Iron Man was what I was going to say. I mean, before Iron Man, the movie came out, did you know who Iron Man was? Because I did not.
What? You said you were a number one Iron Man fan.
I am now, but before that,
you need to get off this show. I thought we were always competing for the number one Iron Man.
You had Spider-Man, X-Men, you had a bunch of Marvel characters. I did not know who Iron Man was. So I think.
I mean, he was an Avenger.
He's one of the reasons why I got into engineering.
Well, look, I'll give you the title of number one Iron Man.
Okay, good. I just wanted to dispute that.
You have it. You own it. I just I don't know how important it is. I guess for me, maybe for comic book fans, it's more important how popular these characters are. For me, it's just, are these cool characters? Are they memorable characters? Do they have good story arcs? I do think this presents an interesting opportunity to the DCEU to basically just redo Justice League or undo Justice League and say, okay, that didn't work for you. We'll try something different because we have multiverses. Look at us go. The most important thing I want to say, the most important thing about the Justice Society for me right now, and what might make them better, it's very simple. It's that Superman's not in it.
Yeah,
Superman sucks. I said it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Superman's the worst.
Me personally, I never liked Hawkman. I always thought he was kind of lame. Oh, you could fly and you have a big mallet thing. Nobody cares. But Adam and Dr. Fate are incredibly interesting characters with a lot of depth, and I think they will be able to surmount their own fan base. Plus, like I said, it's an opportunity. Flashpoint is a very, very unique opportunity to basically say, forget all that stuff. We're gonna restart here. And I think that has some promise. I really do.
It's one of the many things about this comic IP that Hollywood producers probably love, is that they can have their cake and eat it too. If something works, great, they make $1 billion. If it doesn't work, they can say, oh, well, that was one multiverse. Here's another one that hopefully you will like more. It holds a lot of promise. I think Hawkman looks wicked cool. I think Pierce Brosnan suffers from the fact that even though he's significantly older now, I'm always just going to think of him as James Bond. And also, Dr. Fate, if you're going to try and make a Doctor Strange character, try a little bit harder to change the name. Who came first? I guess is an important question.
Which one came first?
I want to say, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say Dr. Fate actually came first. And you know what? This is still keeping my dreams alive, because I've said it before on previous cast that there is hopefully in a distant future a DC Marvel crossover where Dr. Fate and Doctor Strange combined.
I feel like we will never see that. I feel like this.
It's happened in the comic books. It can happen again.
Right, but I think in terms of movie, I don't know. I feel like there's too much money at stake.
We've seen Sony and Disney get along.
I was gonna say I've never been more willing to believe in that. But at large, I think I still agree with you, Nerdbomber, where I don't think that's a distinct possibility. But with everything that's going on these days with these movies and what we've seen super, super recently in particular, it's super possible. And you know what? If it happened, I would feel like I had no choice but to go see it. That's the thing, is it's just such a winning proposition to combine two massive universes. It's again same thing. If they put Fast and the Furious in the Marvel universe, you better believe everybody would go. I would go. I don't even like Fast and Furious, but I would have to go. They would
put Fast and the Furious in the Disney universe before the Marvel universe specifically, because I'm convinced Vin Diesel's a Disney princess. Convinced of it. He would fit it perfectly.
You're going to have to elaborate a little bit more.
I don't want to. I'm just not going to. I think he should. I could just see him having a good time with everyone else as a Disney princess.
So I agree that I want more context on that, but maybe we might be in secret segment territory here with that. For the February secrets or February vlog or secret segment, whatever. It's just Techtic explains why he thinks Dominic Toretto is a Disney princess.
The answer is really simple. It's just my mind is a vast, strange place where I envision things the way that I want to envision things.
Basically, there's a Techtic interconnected universe where everything is just all IPs and properties across the globe are all just interconnected.
It's basically the universe where Spider Pig came from, as far as how zany it is.
Well, now you ruined it. I think that was a really good sell. I think that title for a secret segment would have put butts in the seats, but now you just gave away the ghost there. So I guess we'll have to mothball that idea. Black Adam, he seems like a pretty powerful dude. I know that's not saying much, but the version of this video that I watched, it showed kind of this DC 2022 sizzle reel, and then afterwards it showed the Black Adam trailer again from DC Fandom, where he basically just incinerates somebody by choking them. Spoiler alert for the trailer. But yeah, I'm into that. I would watch Dwayne The Rock Johnson incinerate somebody in a theater. So very exciting times for the DCEU as they continue to try and scramble back to Marvel territory. I have to admit, now more than ever, I'm rooting for them. And I think Batman is going to be a very good way to start the year off for them, get them going on the right foot. I have very high hopes for that movie. Expect to hear from me about that. So now we are at the midpoint of the episode. It sounds like we're going to have a jam sesh, but before we do, Steven, you are joining us next week on the show. So I guess I'll just say we're excited to have you. Next week, Steven will be on the show as one of his many perks as a night level subscriber on our Patreon page. He gets that occasional guest segment. He also gets access, of course, to the monthly secret segment and vlog. He gets this producer shout out, and he gets input into the weekly game segment, which this week Nerdbomber will be hosting Topic TBD. I don't actually know what it is. If you aren't quite knightly enough to be a knight, there's also a Squire level of support, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment and vlog. And there's also a page level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. And for the details on all of those levels of support, you can head over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Check us out there. Go say hi to Steven, say hi to us, and help us keep the microphones on. We'll take a short break now, and we will come back to discuss Nintendo Direct.
And we're back.
That was. I'll tell you what. That was easy. I guess not quite. Would you say that adulterated the episode? Just that quick little jam sesh.
No, it's still unadulterated, I would say.
Okay, we continue to avoid adulteration at this point. Over half an hour in. You're welcome. I'm sure this is what you've always been waiting for. So let's dive into Nintendo Direct. Now, there's a lot here. Maybe we can go through this and just pick things that we're excited about, but what I want to say first on a macro level is that there is no company in the big three, the other two, Sony and Microsoft, they just aren't doing it the way Nintendo is. I mean, so much of this Direct was reviving old games, first of all, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all. I think Nintendo is saying, we're going to bring back Advance Wars and we're going to reboot it and it's going to be amazing. Like, if anything, that might excite people more than new graphically amazing titles. Like, the graphics here, for the most part, that's not why you're watching these trailers. That's not why you care about these announcements, right? And it's just a different flavor. But like, the thing that I was the most excited to see by far was Nintendo Switch Sports. This is a huge deal. This is probably going to be a day one buy for me. I mean, when Wii Sports came out, lest we forget, it was the biggest deal. It was like everyone who had a Wii had it. And I mean, I didn't even have a Wii, and I played Wii Sports many times.
Well, it was one of those games where
great.
Everybody could pick it up. Like, even my grandma.
It's so casual.
I mean, now she's 96, but at the time she was like, oh God, now I don't even know. How long ago was that? 20 years at this point?
She would have been, no, it's not 20 years, but she would have been
that's right.
Probably, she would have been in her mid to late
15 years
80s.
ago. Yeah. And like, even she could pick it up though. She loved bowling. She could play literally everything here. Super straightforward and self-explanatory, but a really ton of fun games in this. And I'm so excited. Like, I feel like with the Switch, and there are obviously a lot of examples where they have used the Joy-Con motion controls. Like, we were playing Mario Golf Super Rush and, Mario Tennis and all those things. There's a few games that utilize the motion controls, but nothing really like we saw with the Wii. And this I feel like
Right.
is kind of ushering back in that era of, creative applications of the technology they have.
They've been holding it in their back pocket for a while. And like, it's so great to see, they're reviving a franchise. It feels carefully crafted to maximize excitement for a game that, it's very casual. It's not like when you think about Wii Sports, Nintendo Switch Sports, like it's not much of anything. It's not a very technological feat considering they probably already have all the motion tech, kind of saved from the last Wii Sports. They're adding a few sports. Like I will say the soccer, they are like, it looks like they're like, hey, can we make Rocket League without making Rocket League? Like you're not in cars, but the ball is gigantic. The nets are gigantic, but it looks stupid fun. And like badminton looks stupid fun. It's just, and the other thing they did, which is really cool, is they said, we're announcing this game and it comes out, I think in April it comes out. And then, oh, by the way, in fall, we're going to give you golf too. So like, it's like it's like excitement stacking, basically.
And I don't think it'll end there either. I think it's just going to be completely this unlimited library of interactive content, and I'm here for it.
Well, do you guys remember back in like the Wii days? So obviously there was Wii Sports, but then like a year later they came out with a Wii. It was like Games and Fun or something, or Wii Play.
I think it was called Wii Play. It was awesome. It was an amazing game.
But now they can just roll these out as potential updates. And I mean, the fact that they're giving you golf for free is great. But like, I can see them even doing like paid DLC down the line. And maybe it's not the price of a full cost game, but it'll merge with, Switch Sports, and it'll be a fun library of all of these cool motion games.
So I will mention, if you liked Wii Play on the Wii Play version of like the Nintendo Switch version of Wii Play, in my opinion, already exists. It's called 1-2 Switch, and it's fantastic. But yeah, they can expand Nintendo Switch Sports to Kingdom Come. They can add every sport that exists, basically, and it's going to continue to be great.
And the best part is we can expect that fire soundtrack again.
Oh, yeah. It was incredible. I will say that the thing about the trailer that made me laugh the most, like, I feel like the motion control instruction lady that they had in the bottom right, the only direction
could not
they
be
gave
less
was like,
into it. Like,
well, they were like, don't move too fast. We want to make sure people do this safely. So act like you're half dead while playing these games. Like that, it seemed like that was the only point of direction that they gave her, because she would like go to serve a tennis ball, whereas like if me or you did it,
it might have been
it
might as well have been in slow motion.
Exactly. So I thought that was very funny. But again, I'm sure the lawyers were like, hey, we don't want people tearing rotator cuffs doing this thing. So like have this lady like go real gentle.
No, if you're going to play with me though, we're going to be tearing rotator cuffs. We're going to be sliding and diving, breaking lamps. I got intense with Wii Sports, man.
Did you guys ever break stuff while playing? Because like so there's the all-time amazing video on YouTube, if you haven't seen it, of the guy bowling and he breaks his TV, and it's incredibly sad. Be prepared to be depressed for this guy, because he's like having the best time playing Wii bowling by himself. I don't even know why he was filming himself. And then he
Maybe
just like
he needed to check his form.
But he bowls, he throws a ball down the alley, and he didn't have the strap attached properly, I guess is what the deal was. And so the Wiimote just hits his TV and it just destroys it. And it's like, everyone should go watch this video. I'm gonna like shill for this video because it's a slice of life. I'm not even saying it's funny. It's mostly sad, but you should go watch it. I was playing Wii baseball at a friend's house, and we had a friend who was kind of tall, and like he wound up to pitch, and on the follow through at that like the high point of his pitching arc, he broke a ceiling light fixture. Like glass went everywhere.
Yikes.
It was awesome. Guys, Wii Sports is back. Nintendo Switch Sports is coming soon. It's bad day for lamps, great day for gamers, I would say. So that was a high point here that I wanted to hit. And I'll turn it over to you guys to talk about high points that you saw. But I also want to mention in passing, I think it's hysterical, given how hard a time I had with Metroid Dread, that they are like, hey, free update.
Who's playing
What if it was now impossible? Like, when they had a rookie mode, I was
There's
like,
rookie mode.
yeah,
I might play it
rookie mode
now.
makes sense. But like, they were like, you could have all boss mode, or like, you could also have one hit and you're dead mode. It's like, I don't hate myself that much. Like, I'm sorry. I like myself. I want to have a good time. That would be the most stressful thing ever. Nerdbomber, I would encourage you to play it on rookie mode.
I don't mind going back to games, but none of those modes entice me to go back. I thought the difficulty was like right where it needed to be, It didn't need to be harder. It didn't need to be easier. Just don't mess with it.
And they were like, what if we took the most stressful part, which is the bosses, and we just made that the whole game? That mode might even be more weird to me than the one hit and you're dead mode. It's just like, what if we took out all the other parts of the game that you probably liked a lot and just replace them with the parts that are incredibly hard? It's just, yeah, it's mind-boggling to me. I just wanted to mention that in passing. I thought that was funny. But what else? I mean, so Nerdbomber, looking at the lineup here, again, a lot of kind of, I don't want to call them retreads because that sounds bad, but it's not. But like, what did you see here that particularly enticed you?
So one thing that made my eyes open wide was Disney Speedstorm. So as you guys know, and there's another thing I want to talk about too that is kind of in the same vein. I'm a huge kart racing game fan, and I never used to be, but somewhere in the last 5 years, I think it started with, Sonic All-Star Team Racing, and I just got really into them, and I find them so fun because they're not you can't take them too seriously, but yet there's still enough of a challenge because you have to, especially if you're playing solo challenge mode on any of these type of kart racing games, there's time limits that you have to hit or things you have to collect or stuff you have to pull off. And it's just, I find that super fun, but yet also light enough where I'm not actively getting angry at a game. And I love kart racers. So Disney Speedstorm, being able to, I think we're seeing now kart racers in every IP. And so being able to have a kart racing game, taking advantage of all the Disney Pixar characters that are out there, I think that's super fun. And it looked like, the car racing gameplay actually looked pretty solid. It looked fast enough where it didn't seem like it was kind of slow and bogged down. It seemed like there were a lot of cool different powers that you could play with. It seemed like it would be fun. Some of the character models looked a little bit off. I think they showed Mulan, and at first I didn't know who it was until they said this is Mulan. And so, but I'm sure that'll kind of get polished as they get closer, but it's going to be a free to play game too, which is awesome. I'm not going to pay for it, but I'm certainly going to play for it. Nice. And then of course, Mario Kart is getting that huge expansion, which I think is super long overdue because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think, didn't that come out the year that the Switch even came out?
It has been so long. I don't even actually know. But yeah, no, that long time coming. Mario Kart is one of their flagship games. I have to imagine it's one of their games that gets just the most play overall. Mm-hmm. So many people play Mario Kart all the time because like you said, kart racing games.
Smash.
No, Mario Kart is universally, I think, one of the top selling games. Someone fact check us, but I feel like it's one of their top selling games.
The barrier to entry is way lower than Smash. I feel like, and I just like you were saying about kart racing games earlier, Nerdbomber, it's so much more casual, and I think that just so many people vibe with that I would guess Mario Kart Deluxe 8 might be their most played game ever. So yeah, this course pass, 48 new courses for Mario Kart 8.
That's substantial.
A big deal. Oh, it's huge. Is that not it's got to be close to doubling what their current course count is. So yeah, it's 6 batches of 8 maps from March 18th until the end of 2023. So it's going to be a constant stream. Again, they're not just promising updates, but they're promising a fairly consistent rollout of okay, you have some time where you can play these 8 maps, and you'll get 8 more, and then 8 more. It keeps people on the hook. It's like a steady drip. It's very smart. And
honestly, I don't know why they didn't do this sooner. Probably because they've been selling the game with no problem for the last however many years. But right. These are all tracks that they've already developed in previous games. So essentially, they're just polishing them up and repackaging them for the new game. And for me, that's perfect. Why you don't need to reinvent the wheel, give me all of the tracks that I've always played in the past and I'm going to have a blast with it.
Well, I think they're rationing content, right? They're, like you said, they're saying people are buying this. As soon as sales dip below a certain number, we'll try and get people back on the hook with this. But for a while, they probably didn't feel the need to do that. I don't know. Maybe it's not that simple, but from a business perspective, that would be a good guess, I think.
And then I know there's stuff like Fire Emblem Warriors and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and maybe Techtic, maybe that got his gears going. I've never really got into those franchises, but Mario Strikers Battle League, I don't know what it was about this, but this looked really fun. It looks awesome. It looks like a stupid arcadey soccer game that I could get really, really into.
Now, I've never played Strikers. I believe it's good. I've heard good things about it. I don't know that I spent a lot of time away from the Nintendo ecosystem, and so I might have just missed that one. But yeah, it looks great.
I love the team building aspect of it, that you can have a ranked team of 20 players and just like keep battling and adjusting your team. Like there's full customization within each character, and then each person playing each character, you can have a pretty good strategy depending on, who's playing what positions and what their strengths and weaknesses are. This was solidly thought out, and I'm impressed.
Well, like especially the online matchmaking and tournament stuff, and like having that club, like you said, it gives me very like FIFA, Madden, NHL type vibes. And I can't remember if the previous Strikers games had that. Maybe?
Which, by the way, but probably not, because the last Mario Strikers game came out 15 years ago. Like getting close to like before when online play was that big of a thing on console. So like this is another one I think it's been a long time coming. I did in college primarily. I did have a FIFA phase where
did you really?
I would play FIFA. I did, and like FIFA, totally different animal than what this is, definitely. But like soccer it's really cool. I don't know. Like I just this looks like just plain good old clean fun to me.
And the art style looks awesome.
It's Nintendo doing what they do best and what they do consistently, which is playing to their strengths. Get Mario doing something in a way that is like very gameplay driven, very gameplay focused, a little cartoony, but not that much. It's just, yeah, this is going to be a smash. There's no doubt. Coming out in June, that one is June 10th. So that's another one to look out for. So yeah, Techtic, over to you.
I'd like to tell you guys what got my gears going, and that is Mouthful Mode. And this is not a sex thing. But
the name of it is just like a little, I was surprised that they went with Mouthful Mode, but okay.
This is something I'm honestly surprised that we haven't seen earlier, and I think it's a wonderfully creative idea, right? So we all know that Kirby's ability is to suck up various enemies, swallow them, and take their abilities, and he's always this kind of gelatinous, non-form-having being, so why not have him suck up anything he can and take its abilities? It only makes sense, right? And so Mouthful Mode is just this new spin on his existing abilities that allows him all these different, I guess we'll call them movement assisted things. Like, so you can suck up a car and you'll be driving around. You could suck up a board and you'll be flying around. You could suck up a vending machine and shoot cans. You could suck up a wheel and you're like a weird projectile air shooting thing. It's just very creative, very new, very Kirby, and I'm here for it. And then on top of that, they added an addition to his existing ability of sucking up and taking up the powers of enemies, where you can upgrade them. And you can upgrade them in various badass ways. The standard fire shooting, you can now become a freaking dragon. Like, I don't know about you guys, but there might be a story of how Meta Knight came to be with regards to power upgrades. Just saying. So
I'm sorry, I cannot get around. There had to be a conference room meeting about this, and you would think one person would be like, well, obviously we're not going to call it Mouthful Mode, guys. Like we can't call it that. It's a sex thing, right? Someone had to say that. How is it called that? Like, do you think in the next 2 minutes we come up with a better name for it than Mouthful Mode? Or do you think that's legitimately the best it could be?
I wouldn't be surprised if in a lot of these younger industries, well, not younger industries, in these industries that cater to younger clientele, that they just don't think about that stuff.
They're just like, we're not going to.
I'm sure,
or they think about it and they're like, these are kids, they're not going to put that together.
It's not. I think it's fine. I think it's kind of funny, if I'm being honest. Right? You always got to do a little fun for the adults and fun for the kids. It's PG enough where it's fine. To me personally, it's a little bit of a stretch.
It's tough because, I mean, you really, if you're talking about this power, you're talking about mouth stuff, you're talking about sucking stuff. It's just,
his whole ability is fair play for that kind of jokes. Yeah. And you know what? No one's really bad at it. It's Kirby. He's a fun pink blob.
It's dangerous territory innuendo wise. I just wanted to acknowledge that. It looks super, super cool.
It's only getting better with the more information that they're rolling out about this game. I'm getting more and more hyped about it, and give me more content.
Is this going to be your first Kirby game, Illeagle, or are you going to pass on it?
Undecided. When does this come out? Do we know? We might have known earlier. It's not in the article I'm looking at, so I don't actually know when it comes out. But I mean, look, guys, I'm knee deep in Mass Effect right now. The way I see it, I'm going to be playing Mass Effect for the next 3 years. so I don't really know what promises I can make about what games I will buy. Nintendo's Wii Sports falls into a particular category of like.
You can just
it's
pick
barely
that up
even
whenever.
a game. Yeah, it's just like, hey, I have friends over. Oh, look, Nintendo Switch Sports. You want to play badminton? It's ridiculous, and then you just do it.
And then the other shout out that I wanted to give was for Portal. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a huge Portal fan. I've purchased that game for every console that I own. I have it on PC. I have it on Xbox. I have it on... I don't think I actually have it on PlayStation, but...
So you're already just lying to us, man.
Any opportunity that I see it pop up in like the store, I'm like, yep, just buying it. And I've played it. Its replayability is fantastic. It's got co-op. It's just, I'm always here for that game. And to see it on Switch, I'm probably just going to buy it on Switch as well.
Portal is like masterpiece territory game-wise. But again, that's kind of like, there are multiple games that were discussed in the Direct that were like, these games, like No Man's Sky is another example. It's like, it's been out for years, literally years. And yet Nintendo can still generate excitement for its fans by saying, this game you've heard about that it looks cool and everything, well, you have it now, here. And I think people get just as excited about that kind of thing, in certain cases, maybe even more excited than they would about an original IP. So I think Nintendo deserves so much credit for what they do with these directs, and also just like what their release schedule looks like in general. It's a great mix of new content and content that they've reconfigured for their console specifically. So there's a lot more here from Nintendo Direct. Nerdbomber did mention Xenoblade Chronicles 3. We also had Splatoon 3 announced, Fire Emblem Warriors. I mentioned Advance Wars briefly. What else? There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. If you're curious to go see more, if you're curious to talk to us more about things we didn't discuss, you can hit us up at our Twitter handles, at @OW86, at @OW Techtic, at @OW Nerdbomber, or at Online Warriors 1 is our main show account. So happy to chat with you there about all things Nintendo. What did we miss? What did we get wrong? What should it be called if not Mouthful Mode? Let us know. It's What Are You Up To Wednesday time. I have an announcement that I'm excited about. I have one bullet point on my What Are You Up To this week, really.
I know
you guys... No, well, I mean, I'm still playing Mass Effect and enjoying it, but that's not the most exciting thing that's happened to me this week. I know one of your bullet points is something I've also done, so I'm going to save it for you guys, but something that you definitely haven't done. So Valentine's Day was this weekend, and my fiance, I call her my finance a lot. She got me an amazing gift, guys, an amazing Valentine's Day gift. I've been standing on the fringe of like I would go to the mall, right, and I would walk by the Lego store, and I would be like, is it time? I would be enticed, and I'd be like, is it time for me to get back into Lego? Like, I was huge into Lego as a kid. Hugely into Lego. Star Wars Lego is in particular, but like every Lego, I was just like, I went nuts for it. And so I would walk by this store and I would like look at sets online, and like they have very adult focused sets now and very adult driven, like almost like works of art. Right?
Yeah, they have like almost like the wall art pieces now, right?
Yeah. My fiance got me what I think may become one of my prized possessions, which is a Lego Millennium Falcon. Damn. So I will be beginning construction on that during this week.
One, it's a great hobby to get into. It's therapeutic. It's rewarding when it's done, and they're doing way better than Beanie Babies. I'll tell you that. So
grew up with Lego. Super excited to build this one. I am a build it by the book person. That's how I will be approaching this. If you have a problem with that, I just mentioned where my Twitter account is, so you can go talk to me about it there. But I'm very, very excited about that. As far as what we've been watching on Netflix, I'm going to turn it over to Nerdbomber to tell the world what I've been watching and also what I know you guys have been watching. I assume that's going to be part of your update this week because we've talked about it.
Love is Blind Season 2, everybody.
It is out. It's back. It's so exciting. What a time to be alive.
I was hoping you'd kick it over to me first, because it's not surprising if Nerdbomber says this is her What Are You Up To Wednesday, but it is definitely surprising if I do, because I'm always of the stance, it's garbage TV, don't waste your time. Let me tell you guys, this show is garbage TV, but I will go on the air saying it. I got hooked, so much so where we watched the first episode, and I looked over at our liquor cabinet, and I said, we are watching all of these that are out right now, and we are going to drink some whiskey. And it was our evening. It was our entire evening.
I remember we talked about this. We talked about this last year when the first season came out, because I'm pretty sure I was the first person to watch And I think I told you guys, like, you guys got to do this. And then I remember Nerdbomber, you binged like all of it in like a day or something. And it just kind of happened to you. Like that's how it goes, right? Because it's like my fiance was the one who would watch it for me. It just kind of happened to me. And then that was it. I was into it. And you just have to embrace it.
The first season, I remember that came out and I actually had like a snow day and I wasn't working that day. So I had like 8 hours to myself. And I think there were only like 8 episodes. Because I jumped on that bandwagon after the fact. Like it had been out for a few weeks and everybody was kind of like already through it. And I was just talking about it. This is wild. And it's still so wild. Like, I think at the end of this month, assuming that we've all finished the show, I vote this should be our secret segment. And I don't know if this has
for sure.
I don't know if this is big appeal to our listeners, but there is so much to unpack and like just analyze about these characters, things that I don't like. There are certain things, certain events that I'm kind of skeptical if it happened organically. Like, I don't doubt that some of these connections and relationships, obviously, I think a lot of them were organic. I think it was just it's an experiment and things happen and people are like caught up in it, which is cool. But there's also some plot lines, and I say plot lines as if it's a story, but there are some plot lines that I'm just like, this is too on the nose, especially in the light of last season. Like, there's no way that this was not a paid off thing. There's no way.
I want to pitch for a second. Like, okay, so what the show does as often as it can, basically, is they try to frame it. Like, literally, Nick Lachey tries to frame it as like, guys, this is a science experiment. We're scientists. We're trying to learn information. And make no mistake, that is ridiculous. They're hamming that up. However, I think there is legitimately something to be said for the psychological aspect of what they're doing. And like, as a human interest kind of thing, it is undeniable. Yes, it is garbage TV. Techtic, you're absolutely right. It has undeniable appeal as a human interest like story, just watching this unfold. A lot of it is reality television. It's dramatized, but a very significant other portion of it is genuinely fascinating. Like that's the pitch, I guess. If you're thinking, I'm never going to watch this, I don't care if you do a secret segment about it, give it a chance. I guess is what and if you give it a chance, that's it for you. You're going to get sucked in. I think the power of that is undeniable. Techtic, I think, and by the way, I don't know which of you is going to give this as your update. I know you guys tend to like parse out who's going to get what. So sorry if I screwed up which of you gets it. But so Techtic, how much whiskey are you willing to share that?
We finished probably about a third of the bottle, and it was a decent sized bottle. But I do want to give a shout out to whiskey in general. I hate bourbon.
Not whiskey in general, specifically Screwball whiskey.
Can you let me get to the punchline, please?
Not a sponsor.
Although we would love to have you sponsor us by providing more Screwball whiskey, because heckin' delicious.
We'll drink it on air.
Well, now all of the buildup is ruined. Bourbon is not something that I enjoy at all. And really whiskey, I struggle with finding the right flavors. So we had tried specifically a peanut butter whiskey, and it is both surprising, it's not overly sweet, and it's fantastic.
I've heard about this. I haven't had it myself, but I sure think I would like it. Like it has appeal to me.
It's very smooth. It's one of those things. So I'm not the biggest whiskey drinker. And so, for example, we bought that and a peach whiskey at the same time. And so he was really into the peach whiskey. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like that's not... Like, if I'm going to buy a whiskey for casual drinking, like, I need to have something a little bit smoother. Did some research, landed on Screwball. And so, like, we kind of swapped glasses initially, and I tried his peach, and I was like, ugh. It was just, like, that caustic feeling in your throat, and I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
But Screwball, the peanut butter whiskey, it's so smooth on the rocks that, like, I couldn't even... Like, it was so good. I don't know. It smells like peanut butter. It's got, like, there's obviously some whiskey undertones, but the peanut butter flavor is very, very on top, and it's so good. I love it.
I used to go big on Red Stag was my thing, which is Jim Beam. It's like a cherry whiskey. Right now I'm a Scotch drinker primarily, which is like obviously it's a little bit different than bourbon, and it's pretty punchy, but I have to imagine, I mean, peanut butter, good, whiskey, good. Peanut butter whiskey, good. Like the math there, I think checks out. So Screwball, I mean, look, the ball is in your court now. Just hit us up. You know where to find us if you want to do a collab.
And the last little bit of, I'll call it our shared update, is we watched a rom-com on Amazon Prime called I Want You Back, and this has Jenny Slate and Charlie Day as the two main leads, but there's also Gina Rodriguez and Scott Eastwood as like their ex-boyfriend girlfriends, and essentially they work in the
I heard
same.
it's really good.
This was really
so good.
funny.
Like
Yeah.
the concept initially seemed a little bit dumb. Like they're co-workers ish. They work in the same office building. Both get dumped at the same time, so they come up with this plan to help each other win their ex people back, and then in the process become friends, etc. But the writing in this is just so witty, and I was very surprised. Like it's very heavy on the com for a rom-com, but also like heartfelt enough where it was just overall a really good movie, and I was super excited about it.
And honestly, as far as the com of rom-coms go, they've been very much dram and rom and not a lot of com lately. So this was good.
I think I said this one because my fiance and I watched some Always Sunny last year at one point. I know we didn't get super far because that show is daunting as a binge, but I think I said then, and I'll say again, I think Charlie Day is like, he's just one of the funniest people to me. Like he's one of those people, when he's on screen, he could do anything and I will laugh just because of the way that he does it. So for that reason alone, the movie has appeal. But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I'll probably be checking that one out.
Highly recommend.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our Wednesdays have been What Are You Up To? I believe, Techtic, unless you have anything else to add.
Nope.
So now what time is it? It's game time. So Nerdbomber, what's the drink of choice this week?
So this week's quiz is all about the Winter Olympics, which, as you guys know, I don't know when it wraps up. I think it wraps up at the end of this week, but it has been going on. And so we have fun trivia all about the Winter Olympics. A lot of current things, but also a couple historical questions about the Winter Olympics as a whole. Again, this is going to be Price is Right style trivia. So this is all numerical based. Whoever is closest to the answer without busting is going to get the point. And we will have Illeagle start the answering because Techtic is losing overall. So
Yay.
We'll give him a little bit of an advantage.
Yay. Okay, bring it on.
First question. At this year's Winter Olympics in Beijing, how many total events are going to be held overall?
Okay, so it's more than you would think, because I think there's probably like a decent number that like aren't even televised. 82.
I'm going to start off early with the +1 and just do 83.
Okay, so you're going 83. I think that's smart, honestly.
It was a very smart tactic. He gets the point with that one because there's a total of 109 events. And those events span 15 different disciplines, including 7 sports: the biathlon, the bobsleigh, the curling, ice hockey. I said the curling, but it's just curling. Ice hockey.
The curling.
Luge, skating, and skiing.
Techtic, if I may, just a masterful +1. I think it was very well done.
Thanks.
So this year, German speed skater Claudia Pechstein, I hope I'm saying her name right.
Claudia.
Okay, Claudia, is the oldest female to compete at the Winter Olympics. She competed in her 8th Winter Olympics in Beijing this year. How old is she?
So it's the 8th in Beijing.
Her 8th Winter Olympics being held in Beijing this year.
I was going to say, it's not held in Beijing that often. She's ancient. And the question was, how old is she?
How old is she?
I'm going to say she's 43.
I think, I have to fight fire with fire here. I'm going to come out with my +1 and say 44. Because the window here is very small because there's 32 years that have been accounted for. So I'm going to say 44.
The +1 takes it again. She is actually 49 years old, almost actually 50, because she's 348 days into her birth year cycle. If that makes sense.
Okay, so there's no +1ing anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
We've both shot our shots right away. So it's going to get interesting now.
Yeah, because now it's basically a tie game. So you guys have 3 questions to duke it out. So another
This is intense.
big milestone. Shaun White, famous, very winning U.S. snowboarder, announced that he was going to retire from professional snowboarding following this year's Winter Olympics. How many medals, both across the Olympics and the X Games, has he won in his career?
Okay, and I'm first. Both Olympics and X Games. I mean, look, it's a lot. 32.
That's literally what I was going to guess. I'm going to say 40.
All right, you guys actually both busted. He has won
Son of
26 medals across both events, the Olympics and the X
That's a
Games.
killer.
But I think that is
So
like a
close.
record for how many, even in the X Games. He has,
Oh, it's got to be.
yeah, it's insane. He is one of the most winningest snowboarders of all time.
When you watch Shaun White like in the Olympics, and then you watch everybody else, it's just like when you watch the vert ramp one, he just goes like twice as high as everybody else. Like it's he just has more time in the air to do stuff because he's willing to go higher than everybody else. I do think a lot of the time it's as simple as that. I'm sure it's not. There's a lot more to snowboarding than that, but it looks totally different when he does stuff. He's so good at it. Here's to you, Sean.
So actually, that's a really good segue into our next question because, and again, apologies for potentially butchering this name, but Japanese snowboarder Kaishu Harano hit a trick that broke a record for the highest snowboarding backside air trick. How high in the air did he go for that trick?
Well, this was 27 feet.
Boy, that's a strong guess.
Is it because of the level of confidence that I exuded when I said it, or because it's a good number?
No, I think it's a legitimately good number. When you say air, like above the half pipe, or just like how high above the level ground?
Above the
makes
half pipe.
sense.
Above the half pipe.
Okay, then it's way less. I'm gonna say 1.
Okay, so he actually achieved a height of 24 feet and 4 inches out of the half pipe. So Illeagle
That's
gets
brutal.
this, but very closely.
See, I didn't get the clarification. That's not cool.
Well, you should have asked for it, man.
Well, the half
don't have
pipe
to tell you.
itself is 22 feet deep. So even if you got the clarification, then you'd only assume he got like 2 feet of air or so. So
okay,
He just
so
jumped.
we're going into the last question. I'm up by 1.
yep. And I do have a tiebreaker all set and ready to go. So Techtic, it's not all lost for you.
But I go first, so that tactic that gives you a distinct advantage. So let's do this.
In what year was the first Winter Olympics held?
I think man, this is really hard. It could literally be like BC, or it could be like the 1800s. I have absolutely no clue. So I'm gonna go 18 hundos, and I'm gonna say late 18 hundos. I'm gonna say 1880.
That's a good guess. That's a really good guess. I thought I remember recently them being like, "This is the 100th Winter Olympics." So I'm gonna say clean. I'm gonna say 1890. Just give you like no margin.
That's not a +1, I guess. So that works.
Yeah, that's a gray area, but I'll accept it. He needs the help, folks.
So the first Winter Olympics was held in 1924, and again, might be butchering the city's name, but in Chamonix, France, with approximately 250 athletes competing for 16 countries in 16 events. And honestly, it was very interesting. I did not know this. Apparently, women were not allowed to compete in anything except for figure skating at the time.
That sounds right.
So, okay, so all aboard. We're on the train to Tiebreaker Town. I assume this is going to be a texted question.
Yes, this is going to be a texting question. The largest and heaviest medals ever awarded to medal winners at an Olympics was at the 1936 Winter Games in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. I might be butchering that as well. How much did the medals weigh in grams?
Grams? Come on.
Grams. We use the metric system on this show, folks.
I mean, for what it's worth, if you asked it for it in ounces, that wouldn't help me at all. I have absolutely no idea. I'm totally blind here. I'm picking a number. Here it comes.
All right, you both busted. For
Yeah, it's not
reference, Illeagle said 1,200 grams. Techtic said 2,000 grams. It actually weighed 342 grams, so about 3/4 of a pound. So I don't know how heavy you guys thought that was, but their necks were
I thought
not
they were
breaking under the
5-pound
weight.
medals. You hyped it up.
I mean,
you really did.
I mean, these are athletes here. I would have thought, they can handle it. Okay, well, hey, bring on the tiebreakers.
Okay, so in the same vein, these medals, what was their diameter in millimeters?
Can you? Well, no, that seems like cheating. Diameter in millimeters, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my answer is in.
All right, so Illeagle said 67 millimeters and Techtic said 76 millimeters, which was actually really funny because it's basically direct mirrors of each other's answers. But Techtic takes this one home. They were 100 millimeters in diameter and 4 millimeters thick.
I accept the outcome. Techtic, it was well fought. I haven't lost in a while. I was due. So that brings the records now. I'm at 3-1. Nerdbomber is at 2-2. Techtic, you are at 2-3. So yeah, congratulations to Techtic. I want to note the Winter Olympics, and the Olympics in general. What happened? I haven't watched barely any. I used to watch all of them.
Yeah,
this
so
year. They're just kind of going by me. I don't know if that's your experience, but
I heard this year that they had the lowest, at least in the United States where we're recording this, they had the lowest ratings in a long time. And there's a lot of speculation as to why. I personally feel like people might find it a little bit more accessible if NBC didn't spread it out over so many random avenues. Like I know a lot of, so I like hockey. I think I've talked about hockey quite a bit in our time in the podcast. And the only way you can watch games is if you subscribe to Peacock because they paywalled it behind the Peacock. And I remember back in the day, it used to be on like NBC. And if you had cable, you'd also get like TBS, TNT, USA, like there would be Olympic coverage on 24/7 basically. And not so much this year.
I think it might be just not having cable like at large for me. Like it's just, if I want to see something from the Olympics, I'll just seek out the exciting clips that are like posted on Twitter or something. I'm not going to sit down and watch the whole thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's still drama to that and there's still reason to watch it. I'm not saying there isn't, but like, it's just, I don't know. I think it's, there's a lot you could say about as a culture, why collectively we are just not watching it as much as we used to, which is a weirdly poignant note to end this episode on. But I'm gonna follow through on that. Thank you all for joining us. As is now customary on the show, I'm gonna swing it over to Techtic to take us out with the tech tip.
So all of my tech tips are basically jokes based on homonyms or homophones, and I just want to give you guys a pro tip as far as the spelling of the word dessert. Remember, it's a desert if you don't have two S's, because strawberry shortcake.
That was great. Okay, I'm gonna kill my. I'm just that's it. That's just the end. Is just strawberry shortcake.